So the engine's out. I'll save the spew, but I did have to remove the intake, so it's not a big deal. You got 2 bolts on the bottom, and you got a couple on the top there. You got to remove the fuel injection rail, throttle body, not a big deal. It's just the insulation in the back and making a pain in the ass to getting it out, and unfortunately you probably have to move the engine forward. Long story. Anyway, that's out. I did have a ratchet strap here to prevent my drive shaft from my CV axle from rubbing up against the frame there. So learned my lesson from the last time. Let's see, compressors hanging there on the fan. There's not a lot of pressure there. Exhaust is fine. So only thing left, I'll just probably could take some brake cleaner to clean up in here, but it's kind of pointless. I'm not going to waste my time doing that. Let's go ahead and start tearing the motor down. Alright, we got the best seat in the house on the back of my truck. So as I pull this stuff apart, I'm just going to throw it in the back and head on to the machine shop, drop this joker off, and get everything cleaned up so we can get this back built and put back in the vehicle. Alright. So I guess first things first, I'm going to start pulling off the water pump and superficial stuff, get that in the pile, and then we'll work on pulling the head off, flip it upside down, pull the crank out. So again, mainly I really need to inspect this bore, see how this joker looks. So let's hop into it. Water pump pulley, 12mm. We'll use a 10 to get the water pump off. This one, I think I did. The water pump and the gasket. It's old, it's going to get a new one. It's going to go in the junk pile. Moving on, we're going to take the thermostat housing off. 10mm. New one also. It's a factory thermostat. I'm not sure why they come with the rubber inserts in there. I never understood that. Fuck it. Leave it in here. Take this coolant bypass off of here. If I can get in there. That's gonna make a big pile of bolts. See if this will work. Another retainer in the corner. Slow and steady wins the race, right? I think I can. Alright, continuing on. I had a customer. I gotta put a battery in their car. Yeah, I had to use my earthquake to get this joker off. This thing was on there real good. That Loctite on there. I think my gun is low anyway. Alright, we're gonna make another pile for bottom end bolts, top end bolts. So I have to try to put everything in this. Oh shit! Oh gosh, I'll try to put everything that's going in the. Oh, this should be alright. I think we'll be fine. Let me see here. Let me get a block. I'll stay up there. Just stay up there for a second. I got an MC hammer holding it up. Do I need to mark the orientation of this? Nope, because it has a dial here, so it goes in that little groove here, right there. So we're good. Our rear main seal, and since the other half retained it, got that out. It's going to garbage. Sensors, I'm gonna work on getting this off when I get the valve cover off. So I was using that as some light, because that light that I got really isn't that great. Let me see if I can pull it back. Oh shit. So all those are almost out here. Am I missing one? I do believe I am not. So it should come right on up. It's not a good idea. What tarnation am I missing? I'm missing one, right? No? There we go. Stuck on there real good. Alright, so all my head bolts are going inside the valve cover, so I can keep track of everything. That goes there. Water pump bolts will stay with timing cover. This is how it looks in the motor and top of the head here. Everything looks fine. You do have to remove the cams to take off the head bolts, and we're going to get to doing that now. 10 millimeter. Now, alright, so I'm going to mix these up because I don't care about the orientation right now. They do have specifics where they go. Let's see if we can, if it'll show up. So it has a direction which faces towards the cams or the timing component. And then you have E, that stands for exhaust. And this is the number 5 cam cap. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then this should have an I, which has I5 here. I5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if you, well, you probably can't get confused. I don't know. Can you? I'm pretty sure putting the cam caps on their improper orientation will definitely cause some problems. But you know, you have directions literally stamped on this cap here. So we're going there, and so 10, 10, 10, and the top one at the main by the cam gear should be a 12. So it looks like either that or 14. We're gonna find out. Like a 12. Yeah, it's a 12. Yep. Oh shit, I am screwing up. Kind of screwing up a lot today. I should just like stop and go to sleep. Man, oh shit. Come on, MC Hammer. Stay in your place. Now I will, my diagram of how things generally would go will be on I would kind of mimic that on the valve cover. The cam, the exhaust cam, you can't screw it up really, but I'll still put everything on the intake side, and exhaust cams on the exhaust side. But I'm still gonna lightly mix them up, so it's not that big of a deal. But if you're confused about where everything go from the two cams, you have this notch here in the back. This is basically gonna be the stator or the pickup wheel for the cam position sensor here. So right here on my hand here's our cam position sensor. Here's our pickup trigger here. And this is a 2-pin, so it's a VR sensor. So it produces its own voltage as that wheel rotates. Reluctor wheel. I call it a stator. Stator. It's a pickup. Alright, let's see here. I'm going to take this. Alright, so now I'm going to pull off the timing chain. I know I got it sitting at the end of the truck here, but hey, if it falls off, we're still in budget. So, I got it. Come on. Can't imagine. Put this on here. Okay, so this should be in there with a timing cover. Remember that F faces the front, so you can't screw that up when you pull this off. Alright. Out my first thing I get my hands on. It's not gonna be these timing components off in the front. It's gonna be a 10 millimeter. And these will go in a timing cover. The tensioner guide is on the opposite side here. This is the tensioner guide. I'm taking off the front guide. There's one. This is normal. It's supposed to do this. I mean, they just hook right on, just like that. I mean, it's crazy how this works. I mean, you would think plastic would just be for just not last forever, but you know, this is 212,000 miles worth of wear. So we got that. I should be able to take my chain off once I get this side off. This is not going to be a 10, it's going to be a 12. I could keep them together, but I don't think it really would make a difference. Got the chain off. So the gear has a notch on it down at the bottom. So the primary chain is going to be second. So the first chain is the oil pump on the back here, depending on how you're looking at it. We're getting all new gear sets, but I'm still going to leave everything together. The links are going to be, they're going to have different colors on here. So there's one here, and then there's another. There's two links. There's sort of 3 links with different colors if you decide to reuse a timing chain. I'm not. We're getting all new stuff, so we don't have to worry about this stuff here. Going on my valve cover. We're getting a new VVT gear. Where's the notch for this joker at? Should be a line. There's one line right there. And pretty sure there's a. I'm probably thinking about Honda's where it has like a little lock, but I'm pretty sure it has a notch on the gear, actual gear also. Don't hold me on that. I'll figure that out later. The buckets for the lifters. And right now I'm just hitting it with brake cleaner, because what I'm going to do To keep these in order, I'm simply going to use a marker and document the orientation. So similar to the cam caps, I'm going to just, it's going to be 1, since this is the front of the engine. This is going to be E1, 2, 3, 4, E5, E6, E7, E8. This is going to be I, since it's the intake, I1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I6, 7, 8. That's how I'm going to document those. All right, these are documented, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to write them on the side if you decide to. But I'm going to wipe the side off so the oil would not contaminate the top of the bucket here. These are solid, so you would want these to go in the same spot. These numbers here on the bottom, I'm pretty sure represent the clearance, and I don't want to get these confused. The engine ran perfectly fine before, so we're going to keep these in the same spot. So I can mix these up. These are not like the last car I rebuilt where there were actually shims inside the buckets here. These are solid. So the number don't correspond on the bottom there, the cylinder. So like I pulled out 34, 36, 35, and this is going to be a 35 also, so some of these match. Alright, I got the head bolts out, and I did screw one up, well 3, and it was my dumb ass. I used a T55 instead, and it was a 6-point versus my 12-point here, and it was totally my doing. But if you get stuck using a T55 and it strips, your last resort, I would say, before drilling it out, is using the 10mm, knock it in there, and get it in there real good, and try to break it loose. The good thing about this 10mm is that when you go to twist it with the hex bit, it'll fill those voids and crevices in to where it'll lock itself in place, and hopefully give you one more opportunity to get that out. So, and if I mentioned, you have to take the cam cap out here on the intake side to access this last bolt here, so pay attention to that. I think we're good. Take these bolts out, and the washers are they need to stay with the bolts, because what will happen when you pull the bolt out for the head, the washer's not on there, so they're at the bottom, so you want to keep those together. Because if you buy new bolts and the machine shop takes your shit and throw it away, kind of SOL, but I hope they wouldn't. They normally are pretty good at putting everything in a bag. A baggie. So I'll keep all that with the timing components. And once I get this off, we'll be able to pull the head off and see how this bore looks. And if we can rebuild this or not, because again, this is predicated based off of how the insides look. It's already been ran through once, and it does have 200,000 miles on it. So, the Miata, the heads I rebuilt on, I did a head gasket on that. The Miata, I don't know if you look at an older video, but it's featured in there. I didn't do any repair video. These things stink, man. But yeah, I ordered some new bolts for it. Lo and behold, they didn't come with washers, so I was kind of SOL with that. All right, let's get this joker off. Crack the egg. All right, we're gonna check that later. Here's our block. Here's our head gasket. So Toyota did use a new head gasket. This looks really, really good. Let me get a rag and clean it off. So we're going to keep our dowels in place also. So we're going to take those out. The other dowel here is in the head. Oh, I'm sorry. So there they go. On opposite ends there. So I think I might be able to get the Take this to the machine shop today. Where's my pick? I need a flathead or something. Golly, this thing is on there. Alright, Toyota. This is showing up here, gasket. Yeah, this thing is stuck on there, and I'm about to put an aftermarket one on there, watch. Damn it. This is real. Factory gaskets are shit. This is a single layer steel gasket. I swear I thought it was MLS. It's just a single layer. So, wasn't blown or anything. It looks great. Alright, we're gonna flip the block upside down and work on getting the pistons out of here. And we'll inspect that crank. I'm going to go ahead and remove the knock sensor in the back right here. It's gonna be a 12 millimeter. I got a lot of miscellaneous stuff, man, around here. I can't begin to tell you. I'd be lying if I didn't tell you. I'm kind of like, where's everything? So I guess when I get this block sent out, I'm going to take this time to organize my shit. I'm falling over, man. Take this time to, I might probably leave this in there if it's not going to come out. I'm going to leave this, because they're not decking anything. They're just going to clean it, so I'm going to leave those in there. Alright, I'm going to flip this upside down because we got everything out. Oh boy. That was like a block guard in there. Huh. Look at that. Forgot about that. Forgot a lot of stuff, man, about this motor. Alright, so here we got the crank. There's the gear I was referring to that runs the balance shafts. Here is the tensioner for the oil pump. Get a better view of it. There's our two rods that were damaged. We're going to go ahead and pull that piston out. Let's pull the crank out first, and then we'll pull the pistons. These should be... Man, you have no idea what I had to go through to find it. This is how unorganized I am. Like, I was at the point where I couldn't find a 12.14 millimeter. And every time I don't need them, I find them. And I was like, you know, I'm just gonna buy a whole new tool set just to be able to have a 14 millimeter, so I don't have to worry about having this issue again. That's why I got a lot of random sockets laying around. But I was gonna basically put myself in the same situation. So when you can't find a socket, you're forced to clean up. And when you're forced to clean up, it's taking away time, and you wind up finding stuff you don't need, such as another 10 millimeter socket. Yeah. They're around. I know this is not going to work, but I'm going to try it anyway. Nope. Alright, I'm going to pull the crank off. Get these bolts loose. The crank caps, I can't think of the name of it. The main caps are also numbered. So we got one that's always going to start from the front of the engine. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there's no particular sequence. I'm going to loosen these up, but when I do tighten this back up, I will go in the sequence. Because this is going in the garbage. I think these were torqued down at like 60. I want to say 50 or 45, one of those. I've basically mentioned everything, so when it does come to the time where I have to torque it down, I'm like, oh, see, I told you. Uh-oh. All right, so we're gonna take a look at the main caps. See how these journals are looking. And get just that much closer to getting this block out. It's this block broken down and sent off to the machine shop. I don't think it's going today, but see what happens. I know you're supposed to use a mallet. I'm not. I think if I give it a couple love taps, it'll cooperate. So again, these are numbered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, we didn't look at the bearings. Sorry. So 1 and 2 were the worst, and here's our bearings for 1 on the main cap there. Didn't look bad at all. Here's 2. You can tell it has some dirt, debris in there, but it doesn't look bad. Let me get a rag and wipe it off. It doesn't look nothing like those rod end caps, I'll put it that way. So as further I get, I would assume the worse it'll be, but that's not the case. The further I get, the better they look. Yep, this looks really good. So the further I got, the better they look. Regardless, we're getting all new bearings because the crank has a whole new bearing set in there. Get my socket. All right, we're gonna put it off to the side now since that heavy. Well, the crank is still in there. Let's do this. Well, let's go ahead and get 1 and 2 out. There's 1. So this is why I'm replacing the rod. Look how bad that looks. I mean, it just tore that rod up. So basically what happens when the bearing spins, it just heats it up so bad that it basically friction welds itself shut. And this is what we got. So the dealer did replace the rings, but they did not replace the pistons. The new pistons that I get, they're going to be from, I want to say Engine Tech. They're going to come with the new ring kit and the treated skirts. They're going to look really nice, put it that way. So that's 1. Let's see here. Let's go with 2. Here's 2. And let me explain. I'm pretty sure a lot of people know exactly why these engines have oil consumption problems, and it's due to the oil rings fouling. Well, they'll basically get so built up with oil buildup or sludge that it will cause the rings to stick, and they'll collapse. Basically, they'll just be sealed shut. Let me see if I can find the opening and I can pull this off. But this ring here is fine. There we go. I had to cut my nail. Well, my girlfriend cut my nail, so I ain't got none. There we go. So these rings are fine. It's got a little buildup on them, but this was done some years ago, if I understand. She said about 1.5 years. So we got the compression rings. There's the other part right there. So yeah, this looks pretty decent, you know. So yeah, these looked okay. I do need to order a PCV valve, so so yeah, there's our letter. So when the dealer was asking me, the letter for the rod is here, so it's B. Let me see what the other one was, and this is A, so A and B. So honestly, I'm like, the rod shouldn't make a difference if you're rebuilding it. The only difference is when they designed this motor from the factory, it has tight tolerances, and the rod is bored, I'm pretty sure, to a specific tolerance, and that's the only reason why they'll have specific rods. The rods are exactly the same in length. It's just the bores plausibly different, and that has a lot to do with the tolerances that makes with the journals on the crank. So I'm still going to get A and B, but the position, I'm not going to care which one they go to. So I mean, it's not going to matter. It's going to be all new pistons and stuff anyway. So this bore looks fine. There's no ridge or anything. I'm working on getting these last two out. Now these will go in their exact same spot. I mean, it's not like it really has to, again, because they're getting brand new pistons, brand new brand new rod bearings. But lightly, I'll take it in consideration of putting these back exactly where they came. So here's our number 4. There's no bearing in there. It fell out. So this was either it had a lot of detonation going on, or the clearances, the heat did it. Yeah, we're going to take a look at that bearing also. Let me get the piston out. So here's our number 4. This ring looks a little tough, but again, we're replacing these, so we're fine. Normally they're not going to be stuck like that unless there's some detonation problems. So there's some locks here, so you can't screw this up. When you put these back, let me clean this off. One's a male end, one's a female end with the lock. There's 2 male ends that's protruding here, 2 females, and they go in one way only. So you can't screw it up, and plus it'll complete a number. So this is or letter, so this is C. So B is on number 4, but I don't care because these are all going to be brand new. All the rods are going to be the same. And then we're going to take out the last one, which is 3. See, the bearing is in there, but it is very loose. So this was definitely in the process of going out or spinning. So I'm not going to worry about. I'm not going to worry about it. I think it's lightly just the locks. Yeah, I really think it has something to do with the heat. These bearings didn't. This one didn't rotate inside of there. But I do think it was in the process of doing that. Take a look at This one. So this one looks fine. So this rod here is B. So both of these are B, so it really wouldn't matter where they go. Take this crank out. There's some thrust washers in the middle here. This does have oil squirters on the inside of this motor. Here's our main cap bearings. They all look okay, but we're getting new ones. So we're not gonna worry about that. Alright, everything's stripped down to the crank. Alright, here we go. We got our crank. Everything's bare, it's out now. I'm really considering just leaving these pistons alone. I mean, leaving these last two rods in there. And when I order my set, the crank and the bearings and everything come in, when I put the bearings in there, if the bearing doesn't fit that good, and say I'll get some plastic gauges and check the clearances, if everything's fine, then I'm going to use these rods. So if the bearing comes in, it fits tight, and the clearances are fine, I'm using these rods. I know for a fact I'm replacing those two, obviously, because they toe back. So I don't think the rod bearing spun. What I think what happened was everything got hot to the point where it expanded, since the oil is imperative for hydro lubrication. That's the oil film that it builds inside of there, so the oil, so the rod rides on that, and also keeping everything cool. So if that's not happening, everything will expand. The friction will cause the journals on the crank to wear, cause the bearing material to wear because it's softer, and being that the 1 and 2 locked up first, it prevented these two from having some catastrophic disaster. So if it expands, the two lock up, but the bearing material wears, it'll contract and close up, and that's why we get the play inside of there, where the bearing just don't want to sit in there properly. I mean, it just goes in there. I mean, no problems. Uh-oh, let me pull this cap off. So it'll just go in there with no problem. See, it just fits free. There's no resistance. And that's the only logical explanation I have as to why. So, but I'm not changing these rods if everything pans out and works out. So, oh, let me show you. If you was to replace these pistons, the good thing about these, and one of the reasons why the car makes so much power, is because they float. So you don't have to press them in. Simply just take a pick, go on the inside of there, snap that ring out. Don't lose it like I did. I knew that was going to happen. And just simply just push the wrist pin out. Simply just push the wrist pin out if it wants to come out. Oh shit. No. I think we're fine, because Yeah, we're fine. Because I know the new pistons come with wrist pins. I think we're fine. So you should just be able to push them out with no problem. Gotta take a socket to it. But this is the one that's seized up, so that's heat for you. Let me continue to knock this out. Just because we can. There you go. Now the direction of everything, I want to show you that also. Let me just partially get that back in there, which is not going to work. So here you have a dial on the piston. It's an indention right here. That needs to be facing the timing components. So everything's going to be facing number 1. Everything has directions on it. This number should be in the back, like A should be in the back. So everything should face the number 1 cylinder, or I'm sorry, the timing chain, and our letter here should be in the back, facing the back of the block. So that's that. All right, everything's done with this motor. Everything's completely disassembled. We took everything apart. Well, I did, without the help of y'all. So thank you. If you don't like what the hell I did, hit that dislike button, because I don't mind that. But also, when I get everything back in, maybe I'll have an update for as far as what's going on. That's the plan. But I don't think there's anything else we can add to this. Is there a date on here? 12 of. Anyway, found myself ranting, so this is like a shorter version. Like, what am I talking about? I swear I just get lost. Look, I'm doing it again. Anyway, when everything's done, I need to stay on topic. Once everything come in with the parts that I'm going to order tonight, I'll if I can get some plastic gauges, I'll take that, put it on a new crank with the current rods I got now, measure everything, make sure the clearances are where they need to be. Also, you're supposed to do that anyway. You know, you can't just trust what you get. And even though I did the last motor like that and everything worked out fine, but you never know. Other than that, it is a lot of work doing this. It's not easy, and I think up to this point of dismemberment with the motor, I think it took me probably about 7 hours, I want to say. And I'm giving myself some time here because I'm filming too. But there's a lot of parts, man, sitting around. It's a whole lot of them, and this is not for the faint-hearted. I don't know, man, but I'm kind of curious, like, what would you have done? Would you have just simply put another motor in here? Because I know it's a lot of work, and I'm rebuilding this. It's a lot of things that could go wrong. I could really screw this up, you know, and it's easier just to simply put a motor in there. But at the same time, hell, you're not making that much money putting a motor in here. The labor time on this, I'm just going to tell you how the labor time. I tell you how much I'm making, but it's 22 hours to rebuild this motor. Now that's assuming everything went right. Everything didn't go right, so it was about 26 hours to do this, to free the motor up, just to take the motor out, just to disassemble it, just to send it off to the machine shop, get everything back, put everything back together, just to be able to drop it in there. So this is not that bad getting the motor out. It's not bad at all. I mean, you just take your time. Toyota's really, I would say, user friendly because the car does not have any plastic. The only plastic thing on that vehicle is the intake, and you know, we got aluminum outlet housings, thermostat housing, you know, so bypass, you know, right there, that's aluminum. You know, everything is indicated. You have marks of where everything goes. And you can also take your extra precaution like I did, just document, put the marks on the lifter caps there, and or the buckets, and Another thing I do, being that I got a lot of bolts, I call them little landmines, because what I will do, take my little shop rags, write down on there that these bolts are going to go to the water pump. I'll just write water pump on there, ball it up, and keep it with the water pump. You know, so you don't have to throw everything in the box with the confusion, or put them in plastic bags. So at least your towels, hopefully don't throw away your towels, you can keep them together. I mean, that's a little tip. But I do have factory service information when I get everything back assembled. I'm just going to follow directions step by step, because it's very, very descriptive. It's not generic, and we'll make sure everything's torqued down properly. Lightly, I'll try to show that, but I'll just probably get clips of it. But I got to make sure I'm focused on doing this right. And but I'll try to get the camera and focus on that. But I'm not gonna keep this too long, because I swear I think it's gonna be like an hour long. But look, man, what would you do? Tell me. I'm very open. I don't care what people. I like criticism. Cuss at me. Call me names. Call me dirty names if you want. I'm down with that. But either way, however you like it. Because I like it the way you like it. You know what I'm saying? But look, go in the comment section. Tell me what you've done. What would you have done? What would you just put a motor in there? Would you rebuild it? Because like I said, I think I'll be in a better situation than I was before. I've been putting a used motor in there, and like I said, it's reassuring, like when you do something, it's your creation, driving around these streets. You feel me? So, but yeah, hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, have that reassurance of my work. See you on the next one.